Hey guys, William Murphy here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. I think it's safe to say that the previous video of changing the tensioner didn't work on the Ultima. And I don't know if you can hear that or not, but if we go a little bit closer, you can most definitely hear a very defined squeak, which is very irritating. So I've ordered a new belt, so the new belt's going to go on. Hopefully that's going to be the issue. If not, it could be tensioners, it could be the tension, it could be the pulleys, it could be anything. So when you put a little bit of lubricating oil, WD-40 something on the belt, the noise does die down quite significantly. So typically you would suggest it would be the belt. Fingers crossed. Anyway, looks so cool in the garage. Look at that! Woohoo! So I'm now changed in the garage, ready to do some more work to the car. So as you've seen in the previous video, we replaced the tensioner pulleys. Now this is the pulley that adds the tension to the belt. It's sprung loaded, and when the belt is released or the tension is released off this holds with the sprung loadedness away, making the belt nice and tight. What it does mean is when the belt stretches, the tensioner pulley continues to add tension to the belt, and over time it will get bigger and bigger, but the belt will still maintain the consistent strength using this. Now, there's not to say that this was the fault, and to be honest, it was replaced not too long ago. Although it had a slight improvement when it first started, the squeaking has come back and it's quite loud again. So the chances are, unfortunately, this wasn't the issue. It has been replaced, and we'll leave the other one on for now. I'll clean this up and box it up so we do have a spare, but it has a bit of corrosion on the back, so potentially it could have been, it might not have been, but when the belt was fitted again with the new tensioner, the squeaking did go temporarily. So today we turn our attention to the belt. Now, I've just replaced the belt, so we're going to see that in a second. But this is a 6PK 1470. Now what that means is a serpentine belt. It's 6-piece, so you've got 6 strands on this, and the length of it is 1,470 mil. Which is the overall length from here all the way around and back up to the same point. The belt itself has had some belt oil on it to make it not squeak whilst it's on the rollers, and actually it doesn't look in too bad condition, but obviously with it squeaking, I'm really hopeful this is going to be the cause. Replacement belts aren't particularly expensive. What I would say is make sure you use a good quality belt. So I have installed to this vehicle a Gates PK 1470. Fingers crossed that's going to do the job. Now, here's a little Blue Peter style picture I drew earlier. This is looking face on from inside to the back of the engine. Now, this is kind of a setup as you'll see on the car to give you a bit of an indication of how to sort this job. Your idler tensioner pulley will be up here, and water pump pulley, crankshaft pulley, bottom idler pulley, and top idler pulley, and then your alternator. On a typical LS, if this is fitted to a Corvette, you'll have an additional pulley up here, which will be for your power steering pump. Now this car isn't fitted with power steering, so it makes it a little bit trickier to try and get parts for, but now we know the length of the belt, hopefully this will be the simple fix going forwards. So the tensioner pulley applies pressure to the belt that rotates around the system. Your crank pulley is rotating the belt as a whole, and without this, the belt isn't going to turn. What's really important with making sure the belt's in good condition and tight is that although the crank pulley doesn't actually determine the engine's running, it does determine what happens with the system. So down here you've got the alternator pulley. That is obviously, without that turning, you won't be charging the battery. Up here with the water pump pulley, without that turning, you won't be circulating water throughout the engine. So these two are very important. The idler pulleys, the top one is just a rotating wheel, that one's grooved. The bottom one is a smooth idler. So that just helps the belt sort of continue in its course. And obviously the tensioner being, as we've already discussed. So let's crack on then and get this belt replaced. Now the only tool you're going to need for this job is a 15mm spanner. You can use a socket, but I opt for a spanner because of the manoeuvrability with the limited space you have in there. Ideally, I could do with a straight spanner, but this one here is curved, so we have to make do. So, let's get this belt replaced. So, I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see because it's quite a tricky thing to get to, but effectively I will put the spanner on top of the tensioner pulley bolt and then I'll push down, but I need to make sure that I've got enough leverage so that I can get the belt off. Let's get this up here. I'll go around the other side so hopefully you can get a bit of a clearer picture. So apply pressure downwards to slacken off the belt. With the belt slackened off, I can then remove the belt from the inside of the engine bay, or off the pulleys. And you can see the old belt is now off. Now I got the numbers off the belt for the new one, off the old belt. Sometimes they've got a direction, this one doesn't. So let's just make sure this goes in the right place. Typically you want to line this up going over the furthest pulley. Smooth pulleys are for the smooth side of the belt and the ribbed pulleys are for the inside of the belt. Missing something. Right. Tensioner adjusted. Right. Ouch. Okay. Now what's really important when you're doing these jobs with the belts, if you're replacing the belts, is to make sure that the belt is inside the grooves. With the belt sat on the edge, you have the risk of the belt pinging off. So it needs to make sure it's firmly secure in the grooves so it can rotate nice and freely. Okay then, so that's the belt then replaced. Let's now start the engine and fingers crossed there's no squeaking. It sounds nice and smooth, it sounds nice and fresh. And the owner will have many, many more miles of happy motoring without that irritating squeak. Here goes. I think you'll agree that is a great success. There is still a little squeak, but I think that's coming from lower down. There's a separate pulley system which goes around the crank onto the air conditioning pump. Now, I'm going to run this up, I'm going to see how it performs a little bit warmer, and all being well, it's going to be significantly better. Already it sounds so much nicer, and being completely honest, to replace that belt down the bottom looks like an absolute nightmare. Right, quite a bit warmer now, so let's give it a little blip and makes any difference. Now before, when you blip the throttle, the screeching was unbearable. Incredible, right. I can do nothing more than smile because of this job. I'm super pleased with how this has gone. I'm going to switch it off now and on to the last few jobs for this car. So hopefully this will be really helpful, informative, and if you need to do a build on your own Ultima or something with an LS3, then this is a nice easy how-to guide. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the content. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you haven't done so already and do wish to, please consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. It really means a lot to me, and hopefully I can bring more content like this to you coming forward. So thanks for watching. See you again next time. Take it easy.